Thank you for joining us for the third installment of technical assistance videos introducing potential applicants to the U.S. Department of Labor Employment and Training Administration's funding opportunity announcement, the workforce opportunity for rural communities, referenced here as DOL, ETA, FOA, and WORC. In this video, I'll be outlining Section 4 of the WORC FOA, Application and Submission Information. This video provides an overview of how to obtain an application package, application materials, and the submission process. So let's get started. To obtain an application, please visit www.grants.gov. There you can search for the keyword WORC to view the grant opportunity. Under the Related Documents tab, you will find the FOA, WORC Financial Systems Assessment Form, WORC Suggested Cover Pages, WORC Proposal Summary. Please note this is not the entire application package. Applicants must include mandatory forms as well as the required attachments, which will be discussed shortly during this presentation. Applicants submitted in response to the WORC FOA must consist of 4 distinct parts, including 1. An SF-424 application for federal assistance. 2. A project narrative composed of the SF-424A budget information and a budget narrative. 3. A project narrative or optional proposal summary attachment A. And 4. Attachments to the project narrative. It's important to note the project narrative is limited to 10 double-spaced, single-sided 8.5 by 11 inch pages with Times New Roman 12-point font and 1-inch margins. You must number the project narrative beginning with page number 1. DOL will not read or consider any materials beyond the specified page limit in the application review process. Alternatively, the optional proposal summary attachment A is a pre-developed template which addresses everything in the FOA aside from the separate mandatory forms and a handful of required attachments. Lastly, you must ensure that the funding amount requested is consistent across all parts and subparts of the application. Applicants must complete the SF-424 application for federal assistance available at www.grants.gov. The SF-424 must clearly identify the applicant and must be signed by an individual with authority to enter into a grant agreement. Upon confirmation of an award, the individual signing the SF-424 on behalf of the applicant is considered the authorized representative of the applicant. All applicants for federal grant and funding opportunities must have a DUNS number and must supply their DUNS number on the SF-424. The DUNS number is a 9-digit identification number that uniquely identifies business entities. If you do not have a DUNS number, you can get one for free through the DNB website, www.fedgov.dnb.com. Grant recipients must notify potential sub-awardees that no entity may receive a sub-award unless the entity has provided its DUNS number. Before submitting an application, applicants must register with the System for Award Management, or SAM. You will find instructions for registering with SAM at www.sam.gov. A recipient must maintain an active SAM registration with current information at all times during an active federal award or an application under consideration. Applicants must complete the SF-424A budget information available at www.grants.gov. In preparing the budget information form, you must also provide a concise narrative explanation to support the budget request, which I'll explain on the following slide. The budget narrative must provide a description of cost associated with each line item in the SF-424A. It must separate the primary cost components of each line item, which when added together provide the line item total. It must also provide the basis for the cost and the function or use of particular items. The budget narrative should also include a section describing any leveraged resources provided as applicable to support grant activities. Leveraged resources are all resources, both cash and in-kind, in excess of this award. Each category should include the total cost for the period of performance. We recommend using the following guidance when preparing the budget narrative. For personnel, list all staff positions by title, both current and proposed, including the roles and responsibilities. For each position, give the annual salary, the percentage of time devoted to the project, and the salary amount of each position funded by the grant. For fringe benefits, provide a breakdown of the amounts and percentages that comprise fringe benefit cost, such as health insurance, FICA, retirement, etc. For travel, specify the purpose, number of staff traveling, mileage, per diem, estimated number of in-state and out-of-state trips, and other costs for each type of travel. Applicants should also include funding for travel costs for at least 2 staff members to attend post-award technical assistance events hosted by DRA. Travel costs can only be associated with grantee-specific staff. For equipment, identify each item of equipment you expect to purchase that has an estimated acquisition cost of $5,000 or more per unit, or if your capitalization level is less than $5,000, use your capitalization level, and a useful lifetime of more than 1 year. List the item, quantity, and the unit cost per item. Items with a unit cost of less than $5,000 are supplies and not equipment. In general, DOL does not permit the purchase of equipment during the last funded year of the grant. For supplies, identify categories of supplies, for example, office supplies, in the detailed budget and list the item, quantity, and the unit cost per item. Supplies include all tangible personal property other than equipment. For contractual, specify the purpose and activities to be provided as well as the estimated cost for each proposed contract and sub-award. Delineate contracts and sub-awards separately. Contracts and sub-awards are defined on page 17 of the FOA. For construction, these costs are not allowed, so this line must be left as 0. Minor alterations to adjust an existing space for grant activities, such as classroom alteration, may be allowable. DOL does not consider this construction, so applicants must show the cost on other appropriate lines, such as contractual. For other, provide clear and specific detail, including cost, for each item so that DOL is able to determine whether the costs are necessary, reasonable, and allocable. List items such as stipends or incentives not covered elsewhere. For indirect cost, include either a negotiated indirect cost rate agreement, including an explanation of how the indirect costs are calculated, or if you intend to claim indirect costs using the 10% de minimis, please confirm that your organization meets the requirements described on pages 18 and 19 of the FOA. The project narrative must demonstrate your capability to implement the grant project in accordance with the provisions of the FOA. It provides a comprehensive framework and description of all aspects of the proposed project. It must be succinct, self-explanatory, and well organized so that reviewers can understand the proposed project. The project narrative is limited to 10 double-spaced, single-sided 8.5 by 11-inch pages with Times New Roman 12-point font and 1-inch margins. You must number the page narrative beginning with page number 1. DOL will not read or consider any materials beyond the specified page limit in the application review process. If you choose to submit an application in narrative form, you must use the same section headers identified on this slide and on pages 20 through 28 of the FOA. Statement of need and strategic alignment. The statement of need must describe the need for assistance, the nature and scope of challenges to overcome, and the consequences of not addressing the need. The needs described must align with the target population served. Additionally, the statement of need must describe and demonstrate the proposed service areas, skills gap, and documented employer needs. For strategic alignment, applicants must align their proposed project with existing economic and workforce development priorities and strategies in the area covered by the grant. Applicants must address how their proposed plan aligns with each of the following 4 plans: Local or Regional Plan, DRA Regional Development Plan 3, DRA's State Plan, specific to the applicant's state, and 2018 to 2020 WIOA State Plan, again specific to the applicant's state. Project description. The project description must clearly describe how the design of the proposed project addresses the needs identified in the previous section, along with how it facilitates the goal of the work initiative to create economic prosperity and gainful employment opportunities for eligible residents in impacted DRA or ARC regions so that they may remain and thrive in these communities. Additionally, the project description must define the partnerships that will ensure the success of the efforts. Project results and sustainability. Applicants must clearly state expected project results that are specific, measurable, achievable, and reasonable according to the project design and timeline. Project results must include 1. Short and medium-term results that include outputs and outcomes achieved by the end of the grant period. 2. Long-term benefits that include outcomes expected 5 or more years after the end of the grant period to demonstrate sustainability. 3. All project results must clearly align with the needs, gaps, or challenges identified in the statement of need and the activities identified in the project description. Additionally, project results must reflect work goals and objectives. Organizational, administrative, and fiscal capacity. Applicants must demonstrate capacity to carry out the proposed project effectively by submitting staff resumes or job descriptions as attachments, unless submitting the optional proposal summary attachment A, and by completing or submitting one of the following: 1. The Financial System Assessment Form, 2. The applicant's most recent audited financial report, or 3. IRS Form 990. Budget and budget narrative. The budget and budget narrative must include SF 424A budget information, as well as the budget narrative providing a description of cost associated with each line item on the SF 424A. The budget and budget narrative do not count against the page limit requirements for the project narrative. Applicants may submit the optional proposal summary attachment A in lieu of the project narrative, which I'll discuss briefly on the following slide. Applicants may submit the optional attachment A proposal summary in lieu of the project narrative. The budget and associated budget narrative will be included as an attachment to the optional attachment A. A fillable proposal summary document can be found on grants.gov under the Related Documents tab. Instructions for completing the proposal summary are incorporated in the document. We strongly encourage each applicant to consider submitting the proposal summary in lieu of the project narrative and requested attachments. In addition to the project narrative, you must submit attachments. All attachments must be clearly labeled as specified by the FOA. DOL will exclude only those attachments specified in the FOA from the page limit. The budget and budget narrative do not count against the page limit requirements for the project narrative. Labeling the required attachments as they are listed in the FOA is strongly encouraged. You must not include additional materials not requested by this FOA. The applicant must submit a brief statement as a standalone attachment declaring which region, DRA or ARC, the proposed project aligns. If the project area covers counties or communities located in both Delta and Appalachian regions, the applicant must select just one, since applications will be reviewed and funded based upon these regional designations. The attachment must also include a map that illustrates the areas to be served, including all target communities. Failure to include this document will result in the application not being reviewed. The applicant must submit an abstract up to 2 pages summarizing the proposed project, including but not limited to the scope of the project and proposed outcomes. While omission of the abstract will not result in your application being disqualified, the lack of the required information in the abstract may impact scoring. The applicant must submit a proposed project timeline, which includes a brief summary of planned grant activities and the associated project milestones of the grant. The timeline must cover the entire proposed grant period of performance, which may not exceed 36 months. The project timeline must align with activities referenced in both the budget and project narratives. To receive full points during review, your application must include at least 2 letters of engagement from employer and industry partners, attesting to the current and/or projected workforce needs in the target community. The proposed project plan must develop or enhance the skills of the workforce to meet the identified needs as demonstrated by the employer-industry partners included in the project. Employer-industry partners may be located within either region. It is also possible for them to not be located in either region. However, they must be seeking skilled employees to fill positions located within a reasonable commuting distance for the area, or trained for positions not requiring grant participant relocation. If you're requesting indirect costs based on negotiated indirect cost rate agreement approved by your federal cognizant agency, then attach the most recently approved agreement. Applicants must provide resumes for all current or planned key personnel who may staff the project. Job descriptions may be included for positions that are planned or currently unstaffed. These positions must be included in the budget narrative. Applicants are to submit financial system assessment information, which is either a standard form, a template is available in the FOA, the applicant's most recent audited financial report, or IRS Form 990. The example shown here is the document that applicants must submit as designation of the DRA or ARC region. Applicants must include these components in the abstract: the applicant's name, the project title, a description of the area to be served, the number of participants to be served, the funding level requested, the total cost per participant, a list of the counties or parishes included in the project area, type of participants to be trained, projected number of participants that will obtain new or enhanced current employment, and a brief summarization of the proposed project. The major difference between using the project narrative and optional attachment A is the requested attachments required for submittal as part of the application package. Whereas the project narrative requires all attachments listed on this slide, the optional attachment A requires all except the abstract, project timeline, and key staff resumes or job descriptions. DRA highly recommends using optional attachment A in lieu of the project narrative to better organize your application package. DOL must receive your application by Wednesday, July 29, 2020, no later than 4 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Central. The Department of Labor will not make exceptions. Applications must be submitted electronically via grants.gov. Applicants are encouraged to submit their application ahead of the closing date to minimize the risk of late receipt. The process can be complicated and time-consuming. You are strongly advised to initiate the process as soon as possible and to plan for any unforeseen technical issues. Applications submitted in hard copy format by mail or hand delivery, including overnight delivery, will not be accepted for this funding opportunity. For technical questions about the funding opportunity announcement, please contact Jennifer McHenry, Grants Management Specialist at the Department of Labor. For more information or questions related to your project, please contact Ari Kangelis, Program Manager at Delta Regional Authority. An extensive list of resources about the WORC Initiative and DRA's workforce development programs can be found at www.dra.gov/workforce. For more information, please email us at workforce@dra.gov. Thank you.